One. Good afternoon and welcome to the latest edition of the Married with Children documentary, Ladies of Married with Children, as we look back over the 11 seasons of numerous guest actresses who have appeared in the iconic comedy sitcom Married with Children, which was a smash hit and really made the sort of Fox network over 11 seasons. This week we go to season 7, episode 13. The actress in question is Sarah Melson, and she played the role of Corky, one of the bridesmaids of Janie, who was getting married to Bud's cousin, Uncle Jimmy, as they call him. Sarah, Married with Children, such an iconic show. How did the opportunity come about for you to get involved, to get casted to play Corky? And like many of the actresses I've spoken to, was it your first job in terms of Hollywood, one of your early jobs in the industry?
No, it was not my first.
Okay.
So during that time, I was doing quite a number of sitcoms, half-hour comedy shows, which back then, of course, this is believe it or not, pre-HBO, pre-Amazon, pre-Netflix. You really only had your 5, you had CBS, Fox, NBC, ABC, and Paramount, I guess. And that was about it. So we really didn't have that many shows compared to the plethora of what, material that's out there now. And so you kind of had your main, hit shows. And I was on quite a few of those back in the day. So I did do a lot of comedy. I also did drama, of course, as well. But I really just specifically enjoy, at that time, that was called multicam, sitcom, half-hour sitcoms.
Yep.
And so I had been on, let's see, by that time I had already been on The Wonder Years. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, very
The Wonder
much
Years. So. Let's see, I think I had been on Married with Children, might have been my third thing I did. The second thing I did was a pilot.
Okay.
For a show that never became never really went anywhere. It was just like the first pilot of a show, but that was really fun. And that one was called Big Wave Daves. And then I believe I did the Married with Children. Yeah. But subsequently I did a lot of other stuff. So, but I had a great time on the show. I mean, Christina's amazing. So that was really fun.
And so three of us are going to make one beautiful bridesmaid. Wait, are we in different colors?
Well, you'd know. You're the smart one.
Let's color coordinate.
Okay.
Who's he?
I don't know. From up here, he looks like an ant.
I suppose, Sarah, in terms of that, you played one of the bridesmaids, Corky. So when your talent agent at the time sort of told you, was it that role you'd tried out for in terms of that Corky one? And what was sort of written on the script in terms of, was it just bridesmaid 1 and we wanted this different personality, or bridesmaid 2? Or what was it like in terms of the audition for you? Can you remember?
Oh, yeah, I do remember, because it's kind of funny because I'm highly educated. I actually went to Harvard for college, but the part is a part of essentially I hate to use this expression, but a dumb blonde. Of course, I wasn't blonde, but that was sort of, just the wide-eyed, kind of innocent, but kind of out to lunch, not quite all there. And it was just super fun to play that kind of a part, but it's really funny if you juxtapose it with who I actually am. Yeah. So it was definitely an acting part. So I got a kick out of that aspect of it, I guess. And I have to say, that also kind of overlaps in a lot of ways with Christina's character, because, she played a sort of similar vapid blonde, but she's actually whip smart, as I think has been made very clear in all of the work she's done post the show. You know, I don't know if have you seen her new show that she did?
I haven't heard of it of recently. I remember she was in her last project.
It's called Dead to Me. Have you seen Dead to Me?
Oh, yes, I've heard. Yes. I thought you mentioned something after.
Oh, no. I'm talking about Dead to Me. It's brilliant. And
yes,
she plays a character. She plays a character that obviously could not be any more different, right?
Yeah.
From what you would think of her. So it's just fun when you get an opportunity as an actor to play something that's so wildly different from your actual personality. So that was fun.
And I suppose, Sarah, in terms of Married with Children, I suppose you had two different wardrobes on the set. You originally arrived at the house in terms of costume, and then you all came out in these black sort of motorbike sort of tailored. You look like biker chicks instead of bridesmaids, if the going was saying.
I know. The black leather outfits, right?
Yeah.
Too funny. I know. The show is just, you know, that kind of humor, I think, serves a real purpose because it really takes people out of their troubles. Talking about, look, perfect example, COVID, the pandemic, everything that's going on with the world today. It's so important, isn't it? Just to laugh.
It is humor.
I think we made an excellent choice. Nothing says bridesmaid or easy like short black leather. Hey, Janie's not in the car.
Oh, well, we can't wait for her. We'll be late for the wedding.
Relax. They can't start the wedding without her. She's the bride.
Is so important, Sarah. And I suppose, Sarah, in terms of some of your lines, when you say to Kelly, you're the smart one, you should know, in terms of calling Bud, he looks like an ant from up here. And there's certain scenes in where you're sort of sitting down on the couch and you're sort of wondering where Janie's got, and Janie's above eloping with Bud on her actual wedding day, sort of such. So there's almost a sense of that hillbilly sort of elements in terms of what's going on in the house of the Bundys in Chicago.
Exactly. That's funny you picked up on that. Yes, absolutely. It's so true. It's so true. Well, I grew up in Indiana, so I grew up in a small town with, you know, a lot of what you would call, you know, I don't want to necessarily, you know, use any disparaging terms but, you know, I definitely had some character studies in the back of my mind there to kind of model myself after. So that was helpful. Yeah, for sure.
And I suppose that, Sarah, in terms of having Married with Children, when the show aired live, your episode, can you remember, did you get to see the premiere of the episode? Did you tell family and friends and loved ones when it was going to be on, and what was their sort of reaction, your parents and stuff, or the fans of the show, brothers, sisters, and what was the initial sense of excitement when it was going to air?
Well, I think every time that I have been on TV, that's been exciting for my family. You know, they always would throw little watch parties and, you know, watch episodes I was in. And of course now it's just reruns. I mean, there are so many, every time it runs, I'll get a call from a friend and go, I just saw you on whatever, you know? So it's kind of fun. I get a kick out of it, you know?
And so, I suppose, Sarah, one thing, speaking to a number of actresses, is they told me still to this day, they're getting residual checks from their time in Married with Children, because it's been seen all over the world in sort of different countries, dubbed so in so many different sorts of languages and such, in terms of networks rerunning and preview. Is it the same scenario for you in terms of that every year sort of you get a reminder that you were on in Married with Children?
Sure. I mean, I should mention it sounds a little more glamorous than it is, because if you know, were not a series regular and you were just a guest star on the show like me, or, you know, had a smaller role on an episode, while you do, of course, still get residuals every year, they dwindle down over time. Yeah. So over time, they aren't the same. It's not paid on the same scale as you were paid, like, let's say you did the show, you worked last week. So it's very minuscule. It's not a big amount. But yes, in answer to your question, yes, a small amount does still arrive from the show, and I'm certainly grateful for that.
And I suppose, Sarah, in terms of being seen all over the world for your part of Corky, and in terms of 35, maybe 30 years ago now, to think that all different audience and a new generation of fans of the show gets to see your episode and it gets to see your appearance on the show numerous times over, because it is a show that's traveled the world. Does that still bring you sort of great excitement and great joy, and sort of to think that episode that you were on over 30 years ago is still being shown in different countries and in different languages?
Sure. It's funny because I actually appreciate you pointing that out. I don't usually stop and think about it, but it is really a nice thing to think about, isn't it? It is nice. I appreciate you putting it that way. Yeah, it is really cool. I've moved on, of course, to doing many other things, but I do like that it's always going to be there. And that's kind of the nice thing about acting I mean, of course, I come from a theater background where, you know, you do a play on the stage, and unless you were in that audience, it's gone. If you were not there for that particular performance, you won't see it again. But the nice thing, of course, about being essentially immortalized on screen, whether it's TV or film, is at least you at that age, at that time, that's always going to be encapsulated. And there's something nice about that, knowing that. You know, it is cool. I've done a lot of other shows too that are certainly in circulation. They're shown pretty frequently, like Frasier. That one is definitely watched by a lot of people. Beverly Hills 90210. That one is watched by a lot of people. I had a recurring role on that one. I did 4 different episodes of that one back in the heyday of the show. So, you know, those things do, as you say, live on and become reinterpreted by a new generation, essentially, of viewers, right? I mean, now it's my friends, it's their kids watching these shows now, you know, whereas it's the older, you know, it's the crowd that I grew up with, those were their shows, you know? So it's just funny. And I do get tickled by that.
And I suppose, Sarah, the last sort of question now before I let you go, and one to sort of rack your brains as such as an actress and coming from a theatre sort of background as well. You might enjoy this one. Let's pretend they released Married with Children encyclopedia, say for the 22nd, going on to the next decade in this century, and they wanted to put down all the fictional characters who played a role in Married with Children and to summarize them up. And so they left 2 blank sentences under the fictional character Corky. And they rang your talent agent, and the talent agent got onto yourself, Sarah, and they wanted you to write those 2 sentences to portray what Corky was like in that encyclopedia for the Married with Children readers, having played the role. Summarize her up. What would you like those 2 sentences to read?
Oh, I would say Corky really loves doing acrobatics and handstands and enjoys outdoor activities of every kind.
Outdoor activities of every kind. Sarah Melson, an absolute pleasure talking to you today to relive your memories of playing Corky in season 7, episode 13, the wedding show of Married with Children. You are one of those in the fraternity of actresses who have appeared in Married with Children, a distinguished list including the likes of Denise Richards, Christina Allen, Tiffany Thiessen, Pamela Anderson. So many of them have guest starred in Married with Children. Children. It's an exclusive list. That list is now closed after season 11. No one else can appear in that sort of list. You are one of its founding members. So a pleasure talking to you today and reliving your memories of your time in Married with Children, playing the one and only Corky.
Thank you, James. This has been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate you having me on.
No problem. Take care,
Sarah. Stay safe. Everyone stay safe and healthy.
Take care.
Thanks, James. Bye.